let's talk about what the elemental and plant portions of Wild Shape will do for your druid. Hello everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire, here to keep wrapping things up for what Wild Shape does for the first edition Pathfinder Druid. Today we're going to be taking a look at the elemental body and plant shape portions of that ability. But before we get into all of that, if you're new here to the channel, go on down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamer's Den. Or if you've already gone on ahead and listed yourself on such an incredible roster of legendary heroes, then go on down to hit the like button and share the video far and wide. But now let's actually start talking about elemental body. Now this works based off of the spell of the same name, but like last time, the change lasts for 1 hour per druid level, so it lasts significantly longer. And when you use elemental body 1, you take one of these small elemental forms. You have an air elemental, which gives you a +2 size bonus to your dexterity score, and remember, dexterity is that prime stat that affects your armor class, your touch armor class, your initiative, your reflex saves, and several of your skills. You also gain a +2 natural armor bonus. You will also gain a fly speed of 60 feet with perfect maneuverability, dark vision out to 60 feet, and the ability to create a whirlwind. Now, the air elemental is great for its utility with that fly speed, the dark vision, and that natural armor bonus is nice. On top of it off, you got that dexterity bonus too. That's another +1 bonus to all of your dexterity related things listed before, which natural armor bonus, that is just great to have all together there. Very good defensive form. But it's going to lack in offense. Most of these small elemental forms unfortunately kind of will, but I still find them to be fairly useful. The ability to create a whirlwind is just, enveloping a target in a whirlwind. Unfortunately though, they have to be small sized or smaller, and by the time you unlock even before you unlock elemental ability, most of your more significant threats are going to be medium-sized or larger. Not that smaller sized things can't be threatening, certainly swarms come to mind. I would at least allow a partial effect of some kind for swarms with the whirlwind ability, but it's just so situational, and it really doesn't come into its own till you get to larger and larger elemental sizes. Then it really gets to be much more useful because you're able to affect a wider array of targets with it. Next up though, we have the Earth Elemental, giving you a +2 size bonus to your strength and a +4 natural armor bonus. You also gain the dark vision out to 60 feet and the ability to Earth Glide. Now, Earth Glide is just great for additional maneuverability there. Even though you're small size, the fact that you're getting a size bonus to your strength rather than a penalty is fantastic, and that +4 natural armor bonus makes you fairly tanky. The only drawback here is that you are small sized, but if you're going to go with an elemental form, you could do much worse than to select the Earth Elemental. You'll be much more tanky in that instance. And then, of course, we move on from there to the Fire Elemental, which gives you a +2 size bonus to your dexterity score, a +2 natural armor bonus. You get that dark vision out to 60 feet, a resist fire of 20, so you're taking 20 points of damage off of any fire damage source to you, and you also gain a vulnerability to cold and the burn ability. Now, the reason Fire Elemental is rated so low is because 1, again, small, and 2, fire damage and fire resistance are incredibly common. That's why that fire resistance bonus is great, but your ability to do damage to things is really going to diminish quickly over the course of any kind of a campaign. And this is before we get into anything like, in your case, you're not really worried about reflex saves too much. You're not doing a whole lot of area of effect attacks, but your burn ability is based off of reflex, and a lot of creatures have a decent reflex save on top of having fire resistance or outright fire immunity. But this is still not bad as a defensive form if you're going up against a fiery creature and you need some way to survive their attacks as you get up to them. Just as an example, a level 5 wizard throwing out a fireball spell, that's 5d6 points of damage. At most, they're doing 30 points of damage to you overall, averaging about 15. So even before you get around to doing a reflex save, your fire resistance is already eating all of that damage right there. And even if you say they get lucky and they do 25 points of damage, if you make your reflex save, you're cutting that in half for about 13 points of damage, in which case your fire resistance is still taking it. And even if you fail, you're still knocking 20 points of damage off the top of that fireball and only eating 5 damage there overall. So all the way around, that's actually pretty fantastic, and fire damage is pretty common, and enemy wizards, enemy casters of all sorts love to lean into their blasting spells pretty frequently. Your vulnerability to cold is less of an issue. It does come up, but it's not near as common as fire resistance is. So in a lot of instances, I think you'll be okay, but when it does come up, it's really going to hurt. It's not great to have that. That's extra damage you'd be taking. Then for water elementals, you gain a +2 size bonus to your constitution score and a +4 natural armor bonus. You gain a swim speed of 60 feet, dark vision of 60 feet, the ability to create a vortex, and the ability to breathe water. Now, the swim speed is fantastic when it comes up, and there may be situations where it does, and that's broadly useful enough, and it saves you from needing to utilize a lot of skill points on the swim skill. Dark vision is fantastic, and this is a fairly tanky build as well. Not as much as the earth elemental, but a +4 natural armor bonus and extra hit points doesn't hurt. The vortex ability is kind of a mixed bag. If you're in an aquatic based campaign, or if you're on an adventure arc that features large bodies of water and you're fighting frequently on them, then your water elemental form is going to be absolute gold. It's only probably going to come in, it's actually going to come out ahead of the air elemental form, but the vortex ability is dependent on having a large body of water in order to make use of it. Or at least a large enough body of water, and for a lot of campaigns, that's not going to come up consistently enough to be worthwhile. And to top it off, having the ability to breathe water, that is absolutely fantastic to have right there, but again, kind of situational. Overall though, the water elemental's not bad. It's actually pretty reliable and pretty handy. It probably comes in second in comparison to the earth elemental. Then by elemental body 2, you can take one of these medium elemental forms. We have the air elemental. You get all the same abilities as before, however note these changes. You gain instead a +4 size bonus to your dexterity and a +3 natural armor bonus. As an earth elemental, you gain a +4 size bonus to your strength and a +5 natural armor bonus. That's pretty damn incredible right there. You're going to be absolutely beefy overall. Then as a fire elemental, you gain a +4 size bonus to your dexterity and a +3 natural armor bonus. And then as the water elemental, you gain a +4 size bonus to your constitution and a +5 natural armor bonus. Again, we're following a pretty significant pattern there. Your first pick is probably going to be earth elemental, followed by water elemental, then air elemental. The big thing with air elemental though is that it's got a lot of maneuverability and utility. So again, if you're not on a campaign that's featuring or near large bodies of water frequently enough, the water elemental kind of gets diminished a little bit. But it does have utility in certain situations, whereas the air elemental, no matter the campaign, is always going to be useful. So kind of a mixed bag there, but I still really like the water elemental overall, especially with that natural armor bonus, which is something, especially as a melee-focused combat druid, is going to be very useful for you, assuming you're not just leaning into your animal forms. Then, at Elemental Body 3, this finally upgrades to being pretty damn great as you access large elemental forms. And as an air elemental, you will then gain a +2 size bonus to your strength, a +4 size bonus to your dex, and a +4 natural armor bonus. Then as a water elemental, you gain a +6 size bonus to strength, a -2 penalty to your dex, a +2 size bonus to your constitution, and a +6 natural armor bonus. Then moving on from there, we have the fire elemental, which gives you a +4 size bonus to your dexterity score, a +2 size bonus to your constitution, and a +4 natural armor bonus. Again, the fire elemental's just not great, again, because you're doing a lot of fire damage. But if you need to have a defensive option, say for whatever reason you don't have the ability to throw up your own fire resistance spell, this will help you significantly through that. Or if you're expecting to make a long journey through a dangerous hot area, say you have to journey through a volcano for whatever reason, then sure, maybe a fire elemental form will be ready in that instance, but that's fairly circumstantial and kind of on an as-needed basis. You're probably going to be better off more often than not either as an earth elemental, air elemental, or the water elemental, which now gives you a +2 size bonus to your strength, a -2 penalty to your dexterity score, a +6 bonus to your constitution score, and a +6 natural armor bonus. And just bear in mind, when it comes to size bonuses, these will stack with other bonus sources. So if you have some kind of an enhancement bonus to your strength, that'll stack with your size bonus, whereas 2 separate size bonuses or 2 separate enhancement bonuses, those two cannot stack together because they're the same thing. Only the stronger one will take precedent and be set over top of it. So ideally you want to stack bonuses from separate sources so that way you get the benefit of all of those bonuses rather than try to double up on the same ones. So just bear that in mind overall when you're planning things out. And I think that comes close to wrapping things up here, unless am I forgetting anything? Oh no. Okay, so Plant shape 1, 2, and 3. You just never want to do this. You never want to lean into it. To start off with, plant shape doesn't really kick in until level 8, and your animal forms and your elemental body forms are way going to outclass them by then. So really, beyond role-playing and some situations that might come up, never plant shape. I mean, most are going to have terrible movement, or for example, none. A lot of plants have no movement, so you get, in that case, a 5-foot movement speed. Most of the plants have a poor damage output. Some DMs have ruled that Druid is functionally blind in some of their plant forms if the plant doesn't have the specified dark vision or low light vision or some kind of blind sense. But the thing is that if the plant has blind sense, plant shape does not specifically offer you access to an ability like blind sense as an option. So that can render this a fair bit tricky in that instance. And it's a difference between rules as written and rules as intended. Personally, I'd probably want to try to cut a player a little bit of slack, but overall though, plant shape is pretty terrible. And even then, even with homebrewing and house ruling a little bit to give them some vision options, maybe boost their speed a little bit better, you're still going to be better off with many of your animal forms. Even in comparison to elemental body, your different animal forms are probably going to be more useful to you in a wider array of situations. That's what you're going to be leaning into more often than not. However, I do think the elemental wild shape is a little bit underrated by some. I've seen it used to incredibly great effect, and I've used it to great effect myself, but plant shape is almost universally bad, and there are some plants that there's just a debate as to whether or not you can actually change into them or not. Like one of the most popular ones to come up if you search the forums is called the Green Man. Now the Green Man, the reason why the debate is there is because, it's a nigh on deific figure or demigod status nearly, so it's a unique entity. You can't specifically change into them, but there are multiples of them, and they are plants. And so, yeah, there's just argument back and forth there. And even then, the Green Man, while it is one of the more powerful plant creatures you can find, you don't get access to its whole suite of abilities necessarily, and it's just such a mess that a lot of DMs just say no because they don't want to have another thing to deal with. So bear all of that in mind. Work with your DM if you're wanting to use this, especially if it fits the overall feel of your character, which again is the number one thing. Take everything I'm saying here with a grain of salt. Just remember that this is a guide. Go with whatever is going to be the most fun for your character. Just be aware that mechanically speaking, plant shape is wildly ineffective in comparison to your other two options. So you're really going into this more for the role-playing rather than the overall effectiveness. I'd say it's fairly limited in a lot of situations that your plant shape is going to be effective or useful. I can think of a couple, but circumstantial at best. But what do you think? Go on down to the comments below and let me know your thoughts. Did you like today's video? Did you dislike it? Go on down to hit those like or dislike buttons to let me know, and we'll engage in discussion in the comments down below. Certainly let me know your thoughts about, do you disagree on when it comes to plant shape? Are there any plant forms that you found to be particularly effective or surprisingly so? Or am I dead on the money with this one? And also, talk about some of the different animal forms that you've enjoyed running or have seen your players run to great effectiveness. I'd love to engage and swap stories and talk and yada yada yada, do all those things. And remember, if you're new here to the channel, go on down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamers Den. But with all that said, I've been your host, Jordan, your Master of Lore and Storyteller Extraordinaire. Thank you all so very much for your time, and you all have yourselves a good night.